What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Mike Robinson, and this is another episode of Let's Take a Walk. I'm your host, Mike Robinson. I hope everybody had an awesome week. I had a great week. Ups and downs, but you know how that go. But I thank God that we are all here together, safe and unharmed. Tonight we have another awesome guest. Tonight, LTAR welcomes Miss Sacha Walton. She is an event strategist. She is an entrepreneur. She is a coach of business, entertainment, marketing, promoting. She does, you name it, she does it. So we're going to sit down with her tonight and just kind of pick her brain and see what see what gems she drops on us tonight. Okay, I'm excited about this one. For those of you who may not be familiar with her movement, I'm going to give Miss Sacha an opportunity to kind of reintroduce herself and kind of give a little background about everything she has going on. All right, with that being said, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for having me on tonight. Hello, everybody. I am Sacha Walton. I am the owner of SWI Management Group. We specialize in event production, marketing, and strategic planning. We've been fortunate to be able to work with a slew of businesses, helping them get off the road, just getting them up and running with the whole coaching aspect, managing other businesses as a part of what we do. Working in the entertainment area as far as working with indie artists. That's the flip side of the business. And like you said, Mike, we pretty much do it all. From big events, music festivals, to stage productions on that side of things, marketing. A lot of times our marketing aspects are kind of wrapped into the projects that we work on, but we also can actually house them out to anybody who needs the services. But yeah, that's what we do.
Awesome. Let's start from the beginning. How did you even get into this genre of business?
I've actually been doing this for over 20 years. I started out the whole entertainment side of things. I used to manage some artists back in the days. And when I started out like 1998, 99, managing artists, working the whole entertainment field of it. That was like my passion, my love. I love music. And so with that passion, I was an aspiring artist at one point. So what I did was I didn't go that route. I just became behind scenes and started working behind the scenes in the management part and learning the business aspect of everything and helping others out. And then from there, just had some opportunities to do some events. I actually started in my church, doing events with my church and everything. And from there, people were always coming up and saying, hey, can you do this for me? So I turned into a business. So I've been doing that since around that same time frame. But since then, I have, had major accomplishments in the whole event world, working with the first Sunrise Music Festival that they had in 2014 at Virginia Beach. Helping to get that up and running. It was a 3-day festival, over 5,000 people, 10 acts. It was like a whole lot of things going on, but that was wonderful. It's still up and going, but the pandemic kind of, changed some things around and kind of set some things back right now with some of the festivals. But working with the Unashamed tour when it came to Hampton a few years ago, just a lot of things. I went from that to working with corporations, to doing federal and state contracting for events. And I still do some things on the entertainment side as well, but I wanted to kind of build the events business to kind of help that to go and be the lucrative part, so in that way I could, really put a lot of attention into the artists that I work with. But they're both my passions. I've done tours, concerts, you name it, I've done it and worked with a whole lot of people. So that's the beginning up to now, in a nutshell.
So tell me. Now I'm playing dumb. So these questions that may sound dumb, but I'm
No, you
there's a method to my madness.
Okay.
Why is your profession important in business? as a whole, whether it be entertainment or just business in general? Why are you important?
Why am I important? That's a wonderful question. Well, for me, as far as like the first way you actually put the question out there is like, why is my business important? You know, when you're looking at the events part of it, I'm going to answer it in two different ways. So when you look at the events part of it, events is a big way of marketing your business. Your brand. A lot of people don't look at it that way. A lot of people say, oh, I just want to have an event and just have it to bring people together. But what you're doing, you're marketing your business. So if you have a business, products or services or anything, but mainly products, you can have a product launch business, and you can have an event. But it brings awareness about what you're doing, about the products or the services that you're putting out there. If you're an artist, the main thing you do is a concert. So, but you're bringing people together, you're promoting, you're marketing, who you are as an artist and what you do as far as your music and the sound, and bringing people together, and hopefully, you create more fans and sell more music, in CDs or downloads or whatever. So that's why events are very important to the business aspect of the world. Now, why am I important to it? So, as a business owner and what I do, I'm important because of the things I bring to the table. So my skill sets, my gifts, my talents, and my education, the experience, I've been able to bring all of that in and set myself apart from a lot of people. I will always say that, and not to down anybody who's in my industry, but especially with the events, I will always say I stand out from events, any other event planners, because sometimes people will classify themselves in what they do. You have party planners, you have wedding planners, and that may be all the thing they do, and they do it well. For me, I do everything. Our business does everything. It doesn't matter what type of event it is, because we understand strategy. So when you look at it from the strategic point of it, and you bring in a lot of the experience with working with corporate America. I've been in corporate America for like 20 years. Bringing that type of experience, because you're learning more skills, you learn leadership opportunities, all those things that you learn. The experience just working on my business. You learn by trial and error, but also have a bachelor's in business and administration and business management. I have a master's in management. So being able to pull all that together and pour it into everything that we do, it really does bring a good return on investment for whoever we're working with. So even if I have a client that's over in India, so I do one of their 5Ks every year. So, but we understand from the vision, the concept, the idea, to just strategizing it all out, and then what the end result is going to be. So that's why I'm important to the business and the industry.
That's very comprehensive. Being a woman of color, um, how did that play a role? Negatively, positively, at all?
To be honest with you, I haven't had any type of setbacks, so I can't say there's been a negative experience with it. It's been all positive. I kind of carry myself in a way that, of course, I'm a woman of color. That comes first. You think about that first. But I also believe in diversifying. I also believe in building relationships with everybody, regardless of what the color is. And being a person of color, it could, cause some type of negative things if you're in that environment or you come across that. I've just been blessed enough not to have come across that in business. Not saying it will never happen, but a lot of times it's about how you carry yourself and, the personality that you have, and, you just know who to connect with and who not to. Just like I said, I have a client that's over in India, and so it's a major corporation with Pro, and they have their annual 5Ks every year all over the world. Every office has the 5K. So I managed the one in Richmond. All Indians. They're people of color as well, but they're a different culture. So, I've worked with, everybody of all backgrounds I've had the opportunity to work with. And I love it, because I love, that's what it's all about. It's building diversity. You can't just always be blocked in to your own group. I feel like when a lot of times people can limit themselves and being just blocked into your own group, so you don't really understand. And it could be anybody of color. You can't really get to learn another culture or another way of business. And sometimes you know, it just all depends on who the people are, but you could get better receptive opportunities, from other, resources and stuff. So
You brought up an interesting point. Building relationship. Um, how has that been for you? Like, was that I mean, like, especially I'm speaking from the beginning. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like, how hard was that for you?
it. I would say the hardest part was primarily me getting out of my own way.
Mhm.
Um, Believe it or not, by nature, I'm a shy person.
Right, right.
um, I am. I'm an ambivert. I'm a little bit of both. Introvert first, but I know how to be an extrovert when needed.
Right.
But it was more so that just having to break my own ground within myself and really getting out there, speaking to people, networking, and building things. So it made it easier for me because I knew I had a vision, goal I wanted to accomplish. So the only way you're going to do it is get out there and do it, right? So you
Right,
have to just,
right.
you have to beat your own self, and get yourself out the way. So that was the hardest part. But actually getting forward and just doing the networking, you just learn how to pitch. You learn how to say the right things in a short amount of time. And understanding who you are as a person and your own personality, that's a big difference too. Because if you're a genuine people person, that makes it easier. But you just have to know it yourself and know how to just put yourself out there. But
Hmm.
in doing that, I'm really big on just integrity and being kind to people and, treating people with respect and, fairness, having that balance across the board. So that's how I treat everybody, and I haven't had any issues with anything. So the relationships have been really good.
That's really interesting. You brought up another interesting point. You were saying how you work with different cultures. Okay, so how does that? Is that a challenge, or does most strategies that- are they transferable no matter what culture you in, or what culture you're dealing with, or is there something like, for instance, the way that you would do an event for an African American would be different than if you approach, say, an Asian person, or like you said, a Native American person or an Indian person.
It's all the same to me. you
Mm.
know, um, primarily the structure, the foundation is the same.
Mhm.
But understanding other cultures, so like with the Indian culture, over in India, a lot of cultures outside of our own are really big on um, respect in relationships.
Mhm.
And believe it or not, if you're good people, they pretty much embrace you.
Right.
And but you just have to understand their culture as well, so that way you're not stepping on any toes in the wrong way because you just want to go in and say, okay, I'm just going to do this. But sometimes there's just levels to it. With the Indian culture, they've been very easy to work with, and pretty much I've been on with them because they were more so like, hey, you know us, you know how we operate, so we're just gonna go with you every year. And in the first year, we walked around, and the people who you work with and you meet, as long as you're kind of like mind in a sense, even though you're different cultures, it makes it
Mhm.
easier too. So I've ended up working with really good people within that group. Some of them have been kind of hard nosed, but even with the hard nose, I'm still be like, hey, give them that smile and give them that little Sasha charm and be like, hey, look, I
Oh my
got you.
God. Okay.
That's why I say you have to know yourself. And when you're working with people, when you're working in the public, you have to know primarily yourself first. And then be observant on how people move and how they operate. And when you do that, you can kind of see, okay, they're kind of stringent, you know not to go to them a certain way. You might have to go a different way. But it will still butter them up in a sense. You have to
Mm.
sometimes use honey, to go along with some things. So when you're observant and you understand that, for me, it just comes natural. But also learning on top of that, it just adds more value. So, and that's how I was able to do. And like I said, I haven't had an issue working with anybody just yet, but but it's always a learning experience as well. You're always learning, and that's just been my experience.
If you had to name the single most important aspect of what you do, like when you go into a situation, what would you say the number one um, what would you say is the number one thing that you're trying to get across? What's the most important attribute going into any situation, in event planning situation? Like assuming that the person has not hired you yet. You're trying to get their business. What's the most important thing
Trust.
you try to establish?
Trust. Try to
Mm.
establish trust. And the way you do that is basically know your stuff. A lot of times people come to you if they hire you for something, or not even if they hire, if they just hear your name and just want to hear your pitch, they want to see what you know. Sometimes they may know a little something, so it's always good to know more than what they know to win them over. Um, but building trust is the main component because once they trust in what you know and what you say, then they know that they could depend on you getting the job done. And so when you do that and you build that rapport, that just makes it even more fun. It makes it more valuable because they can see that it's not just about a check, it's not just about a job, but it's about them too. So it's that whole customer, even though they're not really customers, but your clients are really customers basically. But even potential clients, you always look at them with that customer relationship aspect. Um, and when you do that, people love it when you just make it about them. And so a lot of times I'll tell people, okay, let me hear what you have. What is your vision? Because I want to take that and make it tangible. I want to, whatever you see in your head, I want to make that tangible for everybody to see. And this is how we're going to do it. And you don't have anything to worry about. And we'll go over, we'll sit there, we'll plan, we'll meet. We'll meet many times. And even if there is a hiccup, everything is not perfect. But just knowing that you're there to rectify it so quickly, they still trust you. And just to kind of take it back, that's how it is with the Indian culture, building that trust with them. And so, because you're an outside person coming in, they could have easily hired somebody within their own culture. But building that trust with them, they know that even if a little slight thing goes off a little bit, they know to find me, they know to call me, but I get it done, make sure to get back on track real quick and easy. But building trust is everything. That integrity and trust, it goes a long way.
Wow. So with this whole pandemic situation, how has that altered the way you do business in any way, or has it altered your business period? And has it changed how you move?
Yeah, it did alter the business because the event industry was hit really hard during the pandemic. A lot of people were set back, big event companies, everybody. But what I did was I just kind of pivot a little bit to where I focus more so on marketing. That's like one good thing. You have so many different skills. You can actually pull up something else just to keep yourself relevant and keep your business flowing in some way. But during that downtime, I just pretty much, looked at my plan, took that time to look at different things that I usually wouldn't do because I'm too busy trying to, get the contracts. And, but it also helped me to look at myself and see exactly where I really wanted to be within, not just the business, but within myself personally. And so now I'm actually relaunching everything because now everything is open. Not everything quite, but people are still doing more things now. And
Hmm.
events are coming back slowly but surely, but also I do a lot of virtual events, start getting into that aspect. So I have the virtual events, have the, hybrid, which is a combination of both, and then also the physical events. But I'm branding myself more so in the front of things versus in the background. So now I'm adding to it that, getting out and speaking, doing more speaking engagements, teaching people, what I do know, helping others in a different way, being the face of my business now. So that was one of the things that I challenged myself with, coming back into the thing. So that's why you see me a little bit more now. I got, but I've spoke once already in August. I have another event tomorrow, which is all virtual. Is the Business Empowerment Expo. Is going to be streamed on it via StreamYard, but it's going to be attached to Facebook on Just Gina's skincare page. I think I sent you all the information. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. I'm speaking on the blueprint of success. Starts with you. That's the topic that I'm going to be speaking on. And so if anybody tune in, you can hear more. But and I have another event coming up in January. So I'm kind of booking these, speaking engagements. So that's the challenge for me because I do public speaking. I know how to do all these things, but it's not like I like to do it. But I know that for this time of my path is this what is include. So I want to do it, get out there and be successful and do what I'm supposed to do.
I know that's right. So you are in a business that you're constantly, like as you said, you're meeting new cultures, new situations, new people, new things. What would you, if you had to name one thing, what would you say is the one thing that you learned about yourself that you didn't know prior to going into this industry? What have you learned about yourself? What's one thing that you didn't know going in?
That I actually could really overcome my fears. Like I said, I've always had a fear of speaking in front of people. Because, growing up in school or whatever, teachers would put you out there, be like, oh, I want you to read in front of the class. But whenever I got nervous, I used to stutter over my words. I didn't have a stuttering problem, but I stuttered over my words because I was so nervous.
Right.
And so sometimes I can still kind of stutter a little bit, but I shied away from it for a long time because of that, and just didn't want to do it. And so when I started to do these things a little more and more and more, I became more comfortable. And so a lot of times I feel like we can have these fears within ourselves, and you don't really look at how you can overcome it until you actually overcome it and be like, oh, wow, I did that. But before you get there, it can kind of paralyze you.
Right.
It can kind of paralyze you to a point where you don't want to move, you don't want to do anything. And sometimes your back could be so against the wall and so many different things that you're just paralyzed. And so, and a lot of people will stay stagnant because of that, But when you realize that you can actually do it, you hear people say it all the time, oh, you can overcome. But you don't know how much a challenge it is while you're trying to get there until you actually overcome. So I would say that is, the main thing. Because I always try to stretch myself. So even, I would say the one biggest event that I did was the Sunrise Music Festival. And that was a major, major event I had an opportunity to work with. And that was one thing I learned, that my capacity level is bigger than what I thought it would be. I mean, that thing had me breaking out Excel sheets, and I was like having to do actual schedules because I'm used to doing things like I'm just one type of people. It's like I don't even write it down; I just do it and go. But yeah, that challenged me because I said if I don't, I'm gonna miss some pieces. But yeah, but overcoming fear, just knowing that you can actually do it is the thing that I learned about myself.
Was there a specific moment, a single moment that came about that made you say, you know what, forget this, I'm going to do it? Or was it a string of events that brought you to the point that you're at now? Because I know, you speak a lot about being, apprehensive and shy about speaking and being engaging. Was there a moment, a single moment, or was there a group of moments that brought you to the point where you were like, you know what, forget this, I'm gonna step out there.
It was a group of moments. It was a group of moments. I'm a firm believer of when opportunities come your way, you don't knock it,
Hmm.
because you just don't know what's on the other side of it. And the one example I can give you of one of those moments was, once again, with Sunrise Music Festival. The organizer, Trina, she was supposed to do the interview on TBN for the event, her and Michael
Hmm.
Copon. And she's a flight attendant, and so she had to fly out. No one to cover the interview. It was already scheduled. So she came to me and she said, Sasha, would you like to do the interview for me? I was like, what? Huh? On national TV? Like, what?
Right.
Yeah, she was just like, yeah, you want to do it? And I'm sitting here like, that was the moment I would have skipped over. But that nudge in me was like, you better do it because you don't know what's on the other side.
Right.
And I reluctantly, honestly, I was reluctant. I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But I'm like, I can't believe I said yes, you know. But it's one of the things that I could go back and say I did. I did do. I did that interview. I sat on the side of Michael Copon, being that face for Sunrise Music Festival on TBN. And I could actually add that to. I'm a firm believer in adding everything to your resume.
Right. Right.
I
Absolutely.
could add that to my list
Hmm.
of things. You always have, when you look at yourself and the things that you do throughout your life, whatever it is, whether it's on your job or whatever, when you could look back and say, I did this, and not in a boastful way, but in a humbling way, in a sense, because when you look at it and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that these opportunities came my way. And a lot of big opportunities, especially like with the Under Same tour with Lecrae and all of Reach Records, when they, I knew the person who was a road manager, and just so happens he was like, look, this is what they need. You want to work with them? I'm like, sure, yeah. And then from there, I could say, oh, I was the local coordinator for the Unashamed tour in Hampton, or different things like that. So that adds to my list, and it adds to the credibility. And the thing is, if you don't look at yourself in a way that you would say, okay, there's purpose, you look at yourself and the things you want to do. I know what I want to do with my business. I know where I want it to go. I know where I want it to be. But are you willing to do the steps, take the steps to get you there? And sometimes with those group of moments, the things I shied away from, had I did that, then I probably wouldn't be right here, right now, talking to you on another wave of level of my business. And, I had this quote, this saying that I have, and I've been saying it for years because it was all about me. The thing you shy away from is the thing you end up doing.
Hmm.
And so, like I said, I just shot everything, especially just speaking in front of people, shied away every time. But it always got laid in my lap somehow, some way. Even on my job, like, hey, would you do this presentation,
Right.
before executives or whatever? I'm like, ooh. But you know what? I got, if I want to do my job and do it right, you do it. So it's nothing different.
Wow. So, who would you say at this present moment is the biggest influence? Your biggest influence.
My biggest influence. Yeah, some good questions.
Thank
Some
you.
good questions that make me think. My biggest influence. Oh my gosh, I have several influences, and they're all big. But I would say my very first one, really my primary one, is my daughter. She doesn't know this. I don't know if she's watching or anything, but being able to show her that something major can be done. She watches everything I do. She's always there. And from her being a little girl up to a teenager into a grown woman now, and being able for her to see that, helps her to say, oh, I could do above and beyond. So she is my biggest influence. Just being able to keep it going in front of her, and I have family, a good influence, as well as loved ones. And did you disappear? Hey guys, I guess it's just me and you. Whoever's out there, hi. Thank you for listening. I don't know what happened to Mike. Oh, somehow we lost them. I don't know, but I'll keep talking. So last question was about the influence. So I said my daughter's a big influence, as well as I have good friends, and they keep me going. So they're my influence, and my boyfriend, and he stays on me, and my family. So, but I don't know what happened to Mike. So I know this is streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. I'm on Facebook now. I don't know how many viewers out here. I think I see one. But does anybody have any questions for me? Type it into. Type it into the chat. I don't know what's going on Mike's side, but I still want to at least be here for you guys so I could carry on the interview if you have questions. I feel like I got left alone out here. So I'm looking at my phone. So if anybody have any questions, just put it in the chat and I will answer. So if anybody is watching from Facebook, if you have any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer them. Just type them into the message. I'm watching it from Facebook myself. Actually, I was on YouTube just now, but I'm going to go back to Facebook. So if you can go ahead and type in your question. I'm on Facebook Live and just write in your comment, write a question in the comment section, and I'll answer it for you. Oh, there you go. I was actually carrying on. I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and do this thing. So I told the people on Facebook, put down the questions. Put your questions down. I'm up here. I'm like, hey, I'll answer your questions until you get back.
Wow, I appreciate that. That was a technical difficulty.
You was testing me?
Yes. Technical difficulty. That's all right, though.
Hey, the show must go on. That's what we do in the event world. The show must go on.
Wow, that's awesome. So you were saying that your daughter is one of your biggest, or if not your biggest influence.
Yeah, she is. I have good friends. They're my influences. I mean, my boyfriend is my influence. My family. I have good people around me who push me. That's why I said I just don't have one. But they all stay on me. They all encourage me to keep going and bring so many different things to me. So I'm so appreciative of them.
Wow. That's awesome. So what would you say is the most common misconception that people have about you?
That I'm not approachable. So a lot of times I'm really good with just having a straight face. I know I'm smiling a lot now, but I had a serious moments where I'm just serious. Because you see me around at different events. I'm probably
Absolutely.
Like,
Absolutely.
You said that too fast.
Yes.
probably like, well, I don't know if I can approach her to answer any questions about anything.
Yeah, you look
Like, she
very,
look like she about.
very tough, very rugged.
So that is a big misconception. I already know. Yep. My daughter
So,
has it the same way. She gets the same thing.
mm, so tell me, who who are you most surprised to find out new about you,
Well, okay, repeat
as
that.
far as your business is going? Was there anybody that you came across that you were surprised to know knew about your movement ahead of time that you wouldn't have thought?
There was this one lady. I still don't know who she is. We were at an event, and it was a I forgot which. It was a big event in Virginia Beach. It was networking. I was there. It was a business event, and I went to give her my card, and she looked at my card. She was like, "I've seen this logo before," and I'm like, she said, "I don't know where, but I've seen this before." To me, that's that moment, that's that thing that stands out, because for somebody to say, I've seen this before, and you know that you've never met that person, for them to see that. So I'm sitting here like, well, I wonder where she saw it at, but it lets you know that whatever you've been doing something good, to
Right.
help push yourself and push the business. But I have one of those logos, they stand out. I'll show you just the colors, it's all bold and boom, in your face. But that right there was the thing that touched me, that moment.
I mean, I have so many entrepreneurship business/business questions, but I'm trying to streamline it because we're only an hour situation here.
Right.
So I try to pick the best ones.
Uh huh.
Um, Going into the entertainment realm, like doing the representing artists or music organizations and things of that nature. Um, like what I'm trying to figure out how to ask. Like m- promoting an event.
Mm-hmm.
What's the most important aspect of promoting an event? I mean, is that the is is that the main part of what you do, or what's the most important part?
The most important part, the first most important part is really, you'll hear me say this a lot. That's why I like to say strategist. Just strategically planning your event. Even if you want to talk on the side of entertainment, even your concert, there's a lot of different moving pieces in an event that you want to make sure that you have in place, before the date of the event, before before your fans come to your concert, or before the audience come to a regular event, whoever the attendees. There's so many things that should be in place to ensure that they see nothing but excellence
Mhm,
at that event.
mhm,
I always say that you're always going to have, planning anything, any event from small to large, primarily the large ones, but you always going to have your plan A. People always have their plan A. But in the event world, you can exhaust a plan A from a plan. You probably be on plan Z,
right.
but and everything in between. But I love my motto is those attendees should never see a plan Z. They should always see your plan A. What they see should always be excellence. Regardless on how many times, you know, you slipped and fell because you were running around somewhere. Regardless on how many times how bad you were sweating to get something done, or how many tasks you had to do before the event started or during the event. You know, everything in place, everything that attendees should see is nothing but excellence, nothing else. And And I firmly believe that, because an attendee can make or break your event, especially if it's a reoccurring thing.
Right.
And believe it or not, attendees become just like customers go in the store. They're always watching. They're always looking for something. And they can see the least little things. It's like how they pick up some clothes. They're going to look at their clothes. That one little tear in the clothes. Like, oh my gosh, their clothes are not value. They're not quality in this store. They look for the discount. They still try to get it, but they be like, oh, don't go there, because everything I've seen, there's always, there's something always wrong with something. Go to a store. But it's the same thing. It's the same mentality when people come to an event. They always, even a concert, a concert, I've seen it where people could be so displeased about what's going on around them, even though the music is so good on stage, that they forget about everything on stage. Because they're so busy saying, oh, you know what, they didn't have enough vendors, they didn't have people working the merch, and they didn't have this and that, and the attendees out there, well, not the attendees, but like the host or whomever, they didn't even know what the bathrooms are, and that discredits the whole concert. Not the fact that the concert was good and they paid for it, but they will want their money back because of the experience they got on the floor. People got the same mentality. It's a customer mentality. And they're always looking for an experience. And you always make sure that experience is positive. So, that's why I said the biggest thing is strategically planning everything that you have. So that day of the event, everything looks good. There's no issues. Even if there's a small issue, rectify it really fast and get it done. So that's my take on it.
What's the most common what's the most common error that people make that you've seen when they're trying to put together an event? What's the most common error that people make?
I feel like the most common error is when they try to just try to skip on certain things. They may not look at, prime example, like I just said, sometimes outside of a venue, so look at the vendors area. They may look at it like, oh, the vendors out there, we don't need to manage that. But it could be something going on out there that you don't know about, that a guest or attendee is having an issue with. But if you don't have anybody out there manning that floor, even though the vendors are there or walking through, you will never know that somebody saw something off or whatever. So some people will skip certain things because they feel like it's less important. They focus on the most important piece. But, I feel like that's just a little small example, but you can't skip anything, because everything is a visual. Everything is visual to everybody else. And the least little thing the thing that you think is small could be big to one of your attendees that will come. And like I said, especially if it's a reoccurring event, next thing they might go put a review or a feedback or something, and be like, oh yeah, I was at this event, but the vendors had their cords in the outlets, and people were tripping over it. But somebody from your team wasn't there to manage that.
Right.
I'm going to use this example. I've been wanting to talk about this. I know we don't even have time.
Go ahead. Yes,
I'm going to use this as an example. I don't care what kind of heat I get on it. But
okay. Let's L-Talk moment. Okay.
The Travis concert.
Okay.
Astro World.
Mm-hmm.
I want to use that.
Okay.
Because there were so many people that talked about that. And so many people I saw, comments. I watched a lot of videos on TikTok or whatever. And I'm going to use this as an example of what you were just answering the question about. Because of the lack of attention that they gave during that concert. Because security of a concert of that magnitude, security is supposed to be on point. You're supposed to have more than enough security for the number of people that was going to be there. On top of that, something that magnitude, you have to have a medical team on staff. You're not even on staff, but on site. There's a lot of pieces that they overlooked or they slimped down on. And so because of the big event company that put that on, they know better. And to my knowledge, they've never had anything that happened like that before. Personally, I feel like the pandemic has something to do with that, because a lot of people are not working or people are doing whatever. But I feel like if they didn't have enough people on staff to do certain things or on site, they should have postponed the event. So that's why every aspect of an event is so important. You can't skip on that. They skipped on it, and look what happened. And I'm not going to go into the whole, who's at fault. No, they all were at fault, really, legally.
I was gonna ask, like, I saw where Charlemagne the God did an interview with Travis Scott the other day, like a one-on-one, and I was wondering, like, it's really like his name was just on it. You know what I'm saying? It's not like that wasn't necessarily his event. He didn't put together. He put it together. He didn't hire the security. But I think that he's taken a lot of heat because his name is on it. So you don't agree? You don't think so?
Unless there's something in his contract with that event management company that releases him of all harm to anybody, the liabilities, he is partly liable. And the reason why I say is because in Live Nation, if he came to Live Nation or him and his team came to Live Nation with that event, Live Nation was just the vehicle to get that event going. The idea was his. That's why his name is on it. Same thing with Something in the Water. Pharrell's team was a big part of that. They controlled a lot of the creativity, a lot of the meetings, a lot of the planning, everything that went on with them in Virginia Beach, with the city and everything. The city had a component as well. So I'm going to use the city, even though, Something in the Water went so fabulous, but I'm going to use their setup and compare it to what Travis Scott and Live Nation had. Live Nation was a part of Something in the Water. So you have your organizers, and then you have the event management. So there was 3 different teams involved, because you had Pharrell's team, you had another event management team that handled another scope, and then you had Live Nation. So, and then you had the city of Virginia Beach, because they had to allow them to use that space. So the city had a big part in it as well, a big stake. So if they didn't provide the police officers, security, and all this other stuff, some of that liability would have fell on them too, if something had happened. But it didn't. The good thing was it didn't. But that's why I said, unless there was something in the contract with Live Nation that released Travis Scott from all liabilities of that event, that's the only way he's legally able to walk away. But as an organizer, as the person behind the idea of it, if his team had any controlling say on how things are supposed to go, and then Live Nation is to implement the plan, they're part of that too. Texas.
Well, that's definitely a different perspective. I think
even the city of Texas, because on top of that, venues. I'm sorry, I had to go on.
No, go ahead.
Venues, especially a large event like that. Venues have something in their contract as well, because you have to make sure that you provide what they say they're supposed to be there. So if security's supposed to be on there, you're supposed to provide security. Anything you have up there, you're supposed to provide it. If it's not there and people are at that particular venue to manage that, the venue staff that is, to make sure that the people coming in to have the event is meeting all of the terms of the contract, they could be held liable too, unless they have something in their clause, in their contract that states that they releases them of all liability. That's why a lot of events, a lot of places now, when you go to have an event there, they want you to have the insurance to cover a lot of things. So unless there's something in the contract that releases you from those liabilities, you are liable of something. So for them to allow that to go on without knowing, or, if they knew it or not, if they knew it, that puts them more, have that more of a liability on them. But no, you can't have a big event anywhere without meeting the terms of the contract for the venue, just as well as any other contract of the management company or anything. So that's why I said, unless there's something there that keeps them free and clear of any liability, that's the only way they're not liable. But if it's not there, they are liable, and everybody who's going against them for suing has every right to sue.
Well, let me ask you this. being being in the business and the industry that you're in, is it hard for you to just go to a concert or just go to an event, or are you constantly in that mode of thinking? Is it hard for you to just sit in a
It is.
concert and enjoy it?
I mean, I've been in events. I feel like there's some events. I feel like, ooh, they did good on this one. I actually,
Yeah.
walked past the organ. I said, "You did a good job. I love what you did," and I don't mind. I'll give you kudos. I don't care. Some people might be like, "Oh, crab in the barrel mentality. Oh, they doing that. I don't like." Nah. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna give you daps. I'm like, look, if you got another big event, you gotta bring people in. Call me. I'm there to help you, support you. That's the type of person I am. But yeah, I have been in events. Matter of fact, me and my friend Jackie, we were at something in the water. We were out there. We weren't in the car. We were just out there. And so we ended up, I saw somebody I knew that was doing security. So we're standing there in the corner talking to them, doing security. But I'm up here watching, and I was like, they shouldn't have this spot like this or whatever. They should do better with that. And next thing you know, we knew certain areas was supposed to be blocked off. We was like, oh, no, you got to go around. We was like, no, you got to go this way. No, you can't go there. I'm like, we automatically started working out there for no reason. So it's something. But when you always have that eye for things and you always look for, you say, okay, yeah, they could have did it this way, or they did excellent. It's that.
So how does your boyfriend feel about that? He trying to take you to see somebody, you know what I'm saying? And
Oh no, I'll
you
turn it off. I'll turn it off. I'm not that OCD about it.
you trying to take you to see my favorite singer Tank or somebody like that, and you too
She's
busy
like,
looking at
could they
everything
do it
else.
a little better? We'll talk about it afterwards.
Right. So tell me, are you a stop and smell the roses person, or are you okay? I complete this project on to the next type of person. And I
um,
mean, which one serves you the best in the industry that you're?
um, I am a stop and smell the roses type of person. I know I'm gonna put it like this. I'm a balance between because if there are opportunities, I'm like, okay, I gotta get that, I gotta get that, I gotta get that. But I do try to stop along the way. Um, because if you don't take those moments, you can burn yourself out. And I have been burnt out before. So it's like I don't like that feeling of being so amped up all the time. And you gotta have that time to unwind. Especially like in the summer times, people they know exactly where to find me. I'm laid out on the beach. That's my unwind time. I'll be out there all day long. I'll be doing work out there if I need to or whatever. But yeah, it's like you have to take things in stride. I've learned that over the years. That's one thing I have learned. That goes back to the other question. That's one thing I have learned over the years is learning how to take it in stride. Stop and smell the roses. There's been times I've done events, especially like at my church I was at. It was times I'm like, oh, I got an event this weekend, but it's my family reunion. Oh, I got to be there. Making that choice to always be there and not with family. And so, because you felt like it's not going to happen right if you're not there, type of
Right.
thing. And so, but I've gotten to the place where, try to look at it a little bit better. Not cross. I've crossed dates before, unknowingly, you book something on something else with my family's going on, and trying to make both, and then somebody gonna get mad at me, but I'm like, I didn't mean to do it, but it wasn't intentional. It was like a just something that just crossed my dates over, but just like I said, just learning how to just slow that up and take things in stride and just balance it out a little bit better. So yeah, like that.
Okay. Well, this would be my last official question for the night.
Okay.
This is a question that I ask. Um, somebody, I don't know what that.
I think some people are asking questions on Facebook.
Somebody have. That's what came up. I don't know what that means.
I don't see it on my side. I had one of my friends. When you were gone, she was like, "Can you ask questions?" So
It
somebody.
says Fitz, New York, Chloe. I don't know what that means. You know what that is?
No.
You said somebody. Did you see any questions?
Well, I know my friend texted me. She said she asked, "What is my goal for 2022?" And then
Okay.
another person asked a question, but she didn't send that question. And for some reason, I can't see it on this end.
Okay. Well, what is your goal for 2022?
So my goal for 2022 is to have my book out. I am working on a book for indie artists.
Okay.
It's been delayed already, but the goal is to accomplish that and finish and get that out, because I feel like a lot of artists would benefit from the book, and to do more signature events. I've done a lot of events in the past. It's more so me managing or putting on other events for other organizers. So I do want to have that and put that in the books as well. And I am working on a podcast. I've been delaying that as well, but I do want to get that out and going. It's called According to Sacha. And
Okay.
so that's another goal for 2022. I'm working on a nonprofit, and so having it up and running, and then scaling my business more for growth, and building the revenue for that, and doing more speaking engagements. Those are my goals.
Okay.
My
Well, here's.
ultimate goal is I want to come off my job. So,
Okay. I think that's all about it, right?
yeah, I had an
Um,
opportunity to manage my business full time for 2 years, and that's the most beautiful thing in the world. And then when the pandemic came, I had to go back to work. So
yeah.
the goal is to get back to that place again.
Um, this is a question that I ask all my guests.
Okay.
So once I ask you, just take a moment, think about it, and give me the most honest and transparent answer that you can possibly give. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Here's the question. What would have to happen in your life if it has not happened already for you to consider your life a success? What does success look like for you specifically?
Oh gosh, that is a very good question. Let me take the deep breath, like you said. Think about it. What does success look like for me? Not giving up. Because I've been there. Just last year, I was there, and it's overcoming the doubts, the things, that internal part. Just fighting yourself, overcoming that, and just really going forward with everything on my list to do. Procrastination is my biggest enemy.
Absolutely.
Overcoming that beast. Oh yeah, I'm successful in that. I'll be soaring for real. But yeah, success. What success looks like for me is just keep it moving, overcoming the fears, just launching into the deep and beating procrastination. That is it. But the other question somebody asked, they just sent it. It was Jana
Okay.
Carson.
Okay.
She
Yeah,
asked
no, what's going down?
she said, "What am I working on
JC.
now?" So what am I working on now? I'm currently working on my presentations. So like I said, I have I already did my presentation for tomorrow. Just ready for that. But I have another speaking event in January with Ladies Who Launch. It's called Roads of Concrete. And so I have a workshop for it's about branding events used for marketing tools. So I have a workshop and I'm on a panel. So I'm preparing for that. And then, like I said, working on this book, trying to finish up this book. I want to try to launch it in January, no later than February. So that's the two things I'm working on now as far as that. So.
Absolutely. I love it.
Yes.
So if somebody wanted to get a hold of you to, solicit your business or get some advice or whatever the case,
Okay.
um, what would, how would they be able to get in touch with you?
So they can email me at Sacha at swimgtgroup.com. So it looked like swimgtgroup.com. My website is the same thing, what I just said. And yeah, they can email me. I'm on Facebook. You can always inbox me. Instagram. You can find me there. LinkedIn. And yeah, so I do coaching. I do consulting, event consulting, business. Even if you're an indie artist, I can consult you in that area. I don't manage right now, but I will definitely consult you and coach you along the way.
What would have to happen for you to change your mind in that whole management situation?
I gotta be a full-time entrepreneur again. It's hard. When I managed before, I was working full-time and running my business and working with my artists, and thankfully they were hands-on artists. But and I pretty much treat them. They're family. They're my best friend and my other good friend. But at the same time, I like to be able to dedicate the time that I know I needed to dedicate. So that's the thing that would get me to start managing again. But that's why I'm writing the book. And I have the coaching and consulting and, all that good stuff. So I don't leave people in the dark, but if I
You
can't
know
do it,
what?
I try to find somebody.
Let before we go, let's get into that coaching.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm an artist. I'm indie.
Mm-hmm.
I've completed my project. Um, I've done all the necessary paperwork, and copyrights, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I come to you.
Mm-hmm.
What are you gonna do for me?
I'll tell you how to do everything else. You got to do it, though. I'll coach you on the way. And be like, okay, it's like almost like having a coach in the pocket, but just not managing. But yeah, I mean, I'll coach
Mhm.
you along the way because there's a lot of things that a lot of artists, I believe, that they miss,
Mhm.
because they pretty much put their music on autopilot. They put their artistry on autopilot. Once they release it, they just think all the downloads gonna go whatever. They might do a couple of things on social media, do a couple of concerts, but they don't stay engaged all the time with their fans or the followers and build that. They could release on Spotify. Spotify has a big community for indie artists and they have a lot of resources, but they don't manage that. But they want the streams. So there's a
Right.
lot of things that, once it's released, they put it on autopilot and think it's gonna roll. You know, you have to sometimes keep that wheel rolling until it rolls fast enough they can roll on its own. And
Mhm.
so with indie artists, they just get it halfway. They're not that hamster yet. They keep running real
Right.
fast. They're the hamster that get tired and they go up and go back down. So to keep it going, You know, you have to. There's but a lot of times they don't have the people or the team to help them, so they get kind of tired or they just focus on one thing. But
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm not gonna hold you. I just gotta. Okay. I was talking to somebody the other day
uh-huh.
because I got a single that's gonna come out at the end of the month.
Uh-huh.
He's called He's Able, right? So I was talking to somebody and they were like, "Well, are you gonna put it on like YouTube and Reverb Nation? These different things." And I was like, "Well, no, because I'm trying to funnel them toward buying the stream. You know what I'm saying? If I can access it on Reverb Nation or YouTube or Instagram, wherever, chances are I won't. Why would I bother even, streaming it?"
Right.
But the person told me, they were like, "You know what?" They was like, "I understand what you're saying, but you're just coming out. You need as many people to have access to that music as you can, not just on the distribution, and not just in the distribution houses, but you need it for you need as many people to see or hear experience that music as you can, because you're just starting out. So you may just have to bite that bullet. How do you like? Do you agree with that?
So there's ways of doing that without having to put your single out there. See, that's why an artist should be engaged. They should be out there. Their face should be out there, because everything is digital. It's the route that we're going. And on top of that, to be honest, I mean, we're gonna make this a 2-hour interview. We good, but I mean, because this is my passion here. So
Yeah,
on
I
top
mean,
of
let's
that,
do it. Let's do it.
but
I'm
on
the only
top,
one here today. Everybody's out, so I'm good.
but the thing is about the route we're going in as far as music. There is no true sale that you're going to really get.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I tell people, this is my opinion. I stand on it. Because of the way this is going, you have streaming, and then you have your downloads. If you're already streaming, the music is going to go around anyway. And, once they pay for that subscription, they can put your song on repeat. As easy. It's just easy as done.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why you have to have your right paperwork done to get your monetizations. All that stuff, the different organizations you need to sign up with to make sure you get your royalties on all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Spotify do pay out in royalties, but it's not a lot. So some artists are really kind of arguing that point. However, Spotify can still be used as a good marketing tool if you're being strategic about it, because then you route them, you funnel them back through another door, because they're getting to know you as an artist. You can route them back through your website, or anything else for something different that you haven't released, but they gotta pay through your website. It could be another, whole EP or whatever. I would tell people, instead of just uploading the single, do an EP. Do a whole EP and sell that EP, because at least you can sell your EP for $5 versus $1.99 for one download. You know what I'm saying? So,
Well, that's what I'm gonna speak personally. Like, I have a completed EP, but I just figured you put the single. You know what I'm saying? I guess the conventional way, you put out a single and then you put out the complete project later.
yeah, I mean, but right now it's like the music industry is so, it's not even the same. You know what I'm saying? So it's like different methods you have to put in because of the era that we're in. It's even labels are not doing things the same way. They're trying to figure out that blueprint that they had at one point that everybody knew to go on is pretty much torched, because now you got NFTs. You can do non-fungible tokens and put your music out there and make $1 million overnight, depending on what you have. That's what who was it that just did that? One of the artists did that, and he put a song out there overnight. exclusive for NFT. It made $1 million royalty free. I mean, not royalty free, but he didn't have to pay a middleman. That's all his money.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like right now, there's so many different methods that the old way is just not a way anymore. So you got to look at what it is that's going to help you. And honestly, you know, it's really going back to concerts and being, you know, but right now everything is still kind of dampened by the pandemic. But the way you're going to make your money right now is merchandise, you know, concerts, you know, some type of live appearance somewhere and just get paid for it. And then you also still have your royalties from, you know, setting up your monetizations in the right way. You get your royalties in, and then you can still get your downloads. But how many people are doing downloads? You know what I'm saying? So if you do put it out there and people do buy it, I would say do it as an EP because, like I said, at least you can get $4 or $5 versus, you know, a percentage of that $4 or $5 versus $1.99. And so, but I know like when you do load through an aggregator, you have to load the single first and then double back with the EP. You know, so it's like a process you have to do. But I know that's like with CD Baby. And but I mean, it's a different world.
Yeah.
But I would definitely tell anybody right now is to learn about the whole metaverse, the whole NFT, all that stuff. And right now, that thing is booming right now. And
Yeah,
it's still fresh.
I was interested in the NFT thing, but like you said, it just depends on what you have. Like you can't, like I like there are certain people that I just really listen to um, when it comes to business and stuff like that. Like Jay-Z,
Mm-hmm.
50 Cent, Cameron, Jim Jones,
Mm-hmm.
who was the first person that I ever even heard talk about NFT and and Bitcoin for that matter. But we're talking about NFTs now. But yeah, but like Jim Jones and there's somebody else again, Dame Dash,
Mm-hmm.
and like I said, my point in bringing that up is that you know they talk, like Jim Jones, for instance, he was talking about the NFTs. And he said he uploaded a picture of the first chain, his first dipset chain.
Mm-hmm.
And he ended up making like 800 grand in the first night or first day or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow, that, you know, the trick is to have something that worth,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people. I saw the guy that started Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
He sold the first ever tweet as an NFT.
Oh wow.
Because of course, at being the creator,
Right.
he made the first ever tweet.
Uh-huh.
So he sold that for like some millions. And the thing is that it keeps, you know, you can continuously auction it, and as you auction it, you still
You
that
make that money.
originator is still getting wow.
Yeah, it's something to learn. You know, I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but I would tell that's what I'm just telling anybody. And there's a lot of people on YouTube that talks about, especially with the music part, learning how to do it because it's easy. I mean, well, from how they explain it, it's not really hard to do. You just have to do it. But just setting up the accounts, but you just creating your image and you adding music to it, and then you sell it. You know, but if it's something somebody likes, because he is a major artist, you know, it's easy for them, you know, people to say, oh yeah, I'm gonna buy this, I'm gonna pay this money for it or whatever. But you know, it's something you have to break ground in. But if you have a good sound, once again, same thing. If you have something that people will want to hear, a good sound, and you know everything else that goes along with that, then you know you got to build it. But at the same time, if you don't build it, what's going to happen? You never know what's going to happen. And but you know that's the way we're going in. So it's just being able to level up to each level that the music industries keep turning into, and learning how to navigate through it. So basically, that's what we've always done. And we went from what 45s to cassettes. We had the little cassettes, and then we had the CDs to an MP3 player, MP3 to streaming. You know what I'm saying? So, and then here we are, NFTs. So it's a whole different world.
So, and that brings up a whole nother question. Like, how important? I'm gonna ask you to kind of put your management hat back on for a second. How important is imaging nowadays? Because I know back in the day it used to be, and I make this joke a lot. You know what I'm saying? You had to have the 6-pack and baby hair. You know what I'm saying? Like you had to look a certain way, you had to dress a certain way.
Right.
You had to be in a certain have a certain look, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays, we don't really. It doesn't seem to be as big of a thing because you have people like Lizzo and others that don't fit that traditional mold. But overall, how important is imaging
It's still
nowadays?
important. It's still important. It's just not the same, like you said. It's just not a traditional robe. Everybody has their own style, and it's just building that. As long as you still want to just have it look, whatever your style is, just look together. You know what I mean? But it's really all about the engagement too. That's why I said I'll tell people right now. Any artist, I'll tell them like, look, do your thing and get on TikTok. That's if you're gonna do anything on social media for artists, TikTok is really good. It's to me it's better than Instagram and definitely better than Facebook because of the algorithm and how it moves you over. There's a large community of indie artists on TikTok. Even now, when you do go to use CD Baby, whomever you use to, distribute your CD or your single or whatever, TikTok is an option now because they have TikTok Radio. They have that, but then also when that option is there, they're automatically loading your music onto TikTok, and people can use it as a sound. So that engagement alone, if you have that right sound, you're playing your music, doing your music, but you're also engaging with people at the same time. So singing live, on that video or whatever it is, so people can get to hear you, get to know you, start to follow you. And when that algorithm really starts to move, it moves fast. I had I'm sorry, mama dog. I had a person that I told them they had a clothing wear or whatever. So clothing line. So I told him, I said, look, I've been telling them the whole time, you need to get on TikTok. What you have, you're not going to build it on Facebook. You need to get on TikTok. Wait a second, Taz. Come here. So I'm like, you're not gonna do that. So when he got on TikTok, I told him what to do. Participate in the trends, do this and do that. And I would say at least 3 to 4 months, he went from 0 to over 15,000 followers just like that.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? Because the algorithm is very robust. It's very robust, and you just keep doing the trends. Have a mix. Introduce people by being a part of trends, but then start throwing in your music at the same time. So that's where that strategy comes in at. So you look at it like, I wanna tackle this thing. What's the strategy behind it? Look at how you post. Look at how you do this. How you gonna do this part? Yeah, I get in the mix with everybody else, but I still want to know them. I want them to know me for what I do. And you throw that in there too, because once they start seeing that, they're like, oh wow, they like it. So especially if you have a good sound or whatever, you just want to draw them in. And then once you get like 1,000 followers, you can go live. That's even better, because then you can have live concerts, you can have little listening parties, you can just draw them into your home or into your studio or whatever. So there's ways of doing this thing to work around it. And also they have creative fund. So if you're over 10,000 followers, you start getting a little incremental money. That's another way of bringing in some money.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. And I've been dragging my feet on the whole TikTok thing. I just
I
been
tell
like
people you don't want to
mainly.
get consumed in the craziness of it, but at the same
Mm,
time, it's out of all social media platforms right now, that is the main one to really get on.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm learning something right now because like I said, I I was definitely looking at the traditional route,
Hmm.
and actually my plan was just to do this EP and then go into strictly production, just making tracks and stuff, and just kind of going that way.
Hmm.
But I think I don't know if that's a whole different
Yeah.
a whole
Yeah.
different thing when you're just making tracks. But
Yeah. So that's why I said thinking like a business owner, you look at things differently. We talked about earlier. So
yeah, see, it's tough. It's tough being a creative though, because that's your realm. Like that's what comes naturally to you. Like I can write a song quicker than I can build a marketing strategy. You know what I'm saying? That's not even really on my radar. You know what I'm saying? On most people's radar. You know what I
right.
mean? So it's like you are what you do is very important because, and there's a lot of people, including myself, who could benefit greatly from your experience and everything.
Yeah. Thank you.
Just in these few minutes, you taught me some stuff I hadn't even thought about.
Hmm. Yeah, like I said, it's just a whole new market. You can have a traditional mindset with it. You can do things that way. But I say if you have that balance between the two, yeah, work it. But definitely, people just can't go. It's just like I was on Clubhouse one night, and I was in a group. There was artists and everything. So we had this one guy that was in there. He's still on that old mentality about, oh, we got to get the street teams. We got to do this. I'm like, street teams? Nobody do street teams no more. Your street team is not your traditional street team anymore. But he was still in that, he was like, we need to bring that back. I'm like, why? You can't, you know? You can, but it's more effective to include the other part, which is online, the digital aspect of things.
I, I think that because I'm from New York, and street teams was the thing,
Yeah.
especially in the like bad boy era. Um, Street teams was the, but I think that that's a dope concept. I sort of agree,
Yeah.
but at the same time, with the mediums changing, it doesn't do you any good. It's not like you can give a person a CD like you could back in the day. What you got a street team, so what you gonna do?
But you can give them something. Like if you want to have the balance between the two. So I look at it like now. Right now, I look at it like the main street team is your guerrilla marketing. The street teams were basically in your face. That was guerrilla marketing in that day, in that time frame.
Right.
So now it's in your face on social media. It's in your face on text messages. It's in your face every time you subscribe to something. Boom, they're right there. They're doing. It's the technological part of it. It's the geofencing. If you're in an area because a company have geofencing, as long as you show up in that area and you search for something, automatically you're gonna start getting stuff routed on your phones. All of us are just like that. So, you're looking at the technological part of it. But if you want to do something to still be like, you know what, I want to physically engage with people face to face, give them download cards. You can't give them a CD, but you can give them a download card. You
Yeah.
can have something that strategically say, okay, here's a free song. Do a song that's strictly for free, and that'll be the thing you download because that's that sample. And then they download it. They get the QR code on the download card. They scan it. Next thing you know, it's on their phone. They take it to your website. You have your free song on your website. That way, they can look at everything that you do. You know what I'm saying? So it's ways around it, but that's why you got to think it out and you have to be strategic. So as I said, strategists, you got to have that strategy to make it work.
Yeah. I mean, that's dope. Like everything that you said is dope. But I think I don't know if I'm old school or whatever, but like I think that that aspect of it is being lost. Like
Yeah, it is
be,
lost.
being
Yeah.
able, like I saw this dude. I forget who it was, but he said that he he would rent a U-Haul truck every weekend,
Mm-hmm.
and he would pull up at a club. He would pull up at the club at like 2:30, 3 o'clock when the club's letting out,
Uh huh.
and he would open up the back of the U-Haul, and his band and everything would be in the U-Haul, and they would play for the people as they came out of the spot. You know what I'm saying? I think
Right.
that's crazy.
I
You know
mean,
what I
and
mean?
people can still do that. I mean, think about it. You have people on the corners all the time. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know why they're on the corner, but some of them have the instruments out there. Some of them be, they could be in the shopping center on the curb, playing their
Yep.
instruments. And I know, like with Virginia Beach, I think you have to sign up with whatever company that manages it, but they also started to have like street performers out there, but you have to be a part of that organization that they go through. So they have that. So it still could be done. You have people that have pop up stuff, pop up businesses. Those
Right.
pop up stores, a pop up store, they already got that little place already set up. Why not have an artist out there, okay, I'm a pop up too. It's a pop up area. Take your mic and whatever, if you got a band, come on out there, set it up. And just do the thing. So, I mean, there's ways around it. You just got to be creative,
Yeah.
and thinking it through.
Yeah, that's why I think that's why it's important. Just like I said, with being a creative and artist, you kind of become consumed with that part of it, and you really don't, except for maybe in special cases, you get consumed with that, and you don't really have a mind for anything else. You know what I mean? I think that's why a lot of these guys they blow up, but then they go broke at the same time because you know they have one side without. It's kind of lopsided.
Right. And see, and that's why my book was so important for everybody, for these indie artists, and as long as when they get it and they take it and roll with it, they be all right.
Wow. Well, listen, I'm not going to hold you any longer, but I appreciate you coming on the show. And again, I apologize for the little glitch that happened,
Oh, no
but
worries.
I thank you for coming on. I know that I learned some stuff. So I know there's some people on here that are definitely learning some stuff. Um,
Good.
and I hope that you will see fit to come on again in the near future
I will.
because I got a bunch more questions.
All right. Well, hey, cool. Whenever you invite me back, I'm good. I'm good for it. So,
Are you ready for the holidays?
yeah.
You
Yeah.
did all your shopping?
No. It'll
Me
get
either.
done. I don't have a lot to get, so my daughter, she's not the little one. Well, she's kids always have a list, no matter how old they are. But
Right,
she knows that you don't work off lists anymore.
right,
So I'm good.
right.
It'll get done.
Yeah, I haven't even started yet. So Monday will probably be my first day out.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, either that or you order on Amazon and call it a day and let it come
yeah,
to
you
you.
can't go wrong. Can't go wrong with that.
Can't
Can't
go
go
wrong
wrong
at
with
all.
that. Absolutely.
All right. Well, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, being on
Thank you.
here. And hopefully, everybody out there, thank y'all for listening, tuning
Absolutely.
in.
You have a good night and an awesome weekend and a
All
great
right.
holiday.
All right. And don't forget, tomorrow is the event. Share that link that I sent to you,
Will do.
the business event that I have. So,
Yes.
all right. Thank you. Have a wonderful night.
You too.
All right.
Okay, we made it, y'all. We made it through another episode. Had a little technical glitch, but show must go on. I want to thank Miss Sasha for coming on, man, and dropping some jewels. I thank everybody who stuck with me on this interview or whatever, and I hope you guys learned some stuff. And please, like, share, and subscribe. Go to YouTube and check it out. If you came in at the middle or the end of the interview, you can go on YouTube or Facebook and check out the interview from the beginning. Please like, share, and subscribe. We're trying to get the subscribers up. All of that. So again, I thank y'all, and I hope y'all have an awesome holiday, and I'll see y'all. I think this was the last interview of the year for me, y'all. So I probably won't see y'all for what's the date today? 17th. Yeah, I won't see you guys until probably the 7th of January. So you guys have a awesome holidays and a great new year. Be safe, and I holla at you. You guys continue to be great as you are always great. All right, let's take a while.